Hi, my name's Derek Weber, and this is my new life story. So I was born in San Diego, California. I grew up in a place called Irvine, California. Grew up in a solid household. Mom and dad were very involved in church. In fact, our whole family was involved in church. Very good examples of godly people, the way to live life in a godly manner. But with that, there was also a lot of rules, very strict. And grew up in trouble a lot as a kid. And not necessarily with the law or anything, but at home. And so at about 15, I decided, you know what, if I can't live up to the standards, why even try? Got kicked out of 4 high schools my freshman year. And my dad said, you're moving to Olathe, Kansas. We'll be there in about 8 months. And so I ended up in Kansas City. Trouble continued. Went to high school just because it was fun. I learned that making money was a lot more fun than learning in school, so I got into things that I probably shouldn't have. It was like, oh my gosh, well, I see a way where everybody will like me. All I got to do is have what they want. I was seeking out things a feeling of acceptance, and they gave it to me. I met a female, and she had 3 kids, and then I spent the next 13 years raising 3 kids with her, and both of us functioning addicts. If you look at it from a worldly standard, I was successful. We owned our house. We had bought it and paid for it. The kids, great. In fact, they're still doing great. We didn't go without anything. Our bills were paid. We weren't homeless. We weren't your typical drug addicts. Got a call one day that she had a massive heart attack. There was complications, and where they had stitched her aorta, her upper aorta with her heart had split, and she bled out right there in her room. That was the day that I went from a functioning addict to not caring. I didn't care anymore. My brother-in-law came and took the 3 kids. When she died, the house went from 5 of us living there to just me and my dog. And that was hard. And my drug use got way out of hand. So bad that the city stepped in and took the house that I owned. And then March 23rd of this year, I was actually living in a tent in the woods in a park over in Kansas. But I was at a turning point, man, where it's like, okay, what do I want to do? Crime and that type of stuff wasn't unfamiliar to me, but I didn't want to go do that. Didn't pray, didn't want to really be clean, didn't want to be sober, and I sure as heck wasn't looking for God. But I knew I was cold, I was tired, I was hungry, and so I walked from 55th and Metropolitan over in KCK all the way over here. That morning, and sat outside of Shelter KC until they told me it was okay to come in. I'm sitting in front of a little lady named Deborah Miller, and she goes, you know what, young man, I've been a Christian for 40 plus years, and she goes, I don't think it's a coincidence that you're sitting here in front of me. And she handed me a book that said Grieving, Learning to Lean on Jesus. She goes, I want you to read this. I want you to come back and see me in a couple weeks. And I said, okay. From that moment, I got on the bus and started reading that book, and about 18 pages into it, I'm sitting there bawling my head off on the bus. And I read that book, and honestly, from that day until now, my life has not been the same. That's all I know. I can't explain it. I can't put my finger on it other than God. I feel like my life has a purpose today. I showed up here shortly after that. And one of the coolest things happened was that I came in here still looking pretty rough. And people greeted me with smiles. They were nice, they were kind, they were polite. They were not anything like the church that I grew up in Southern California. It was different. A lot of people with addiction problems, man, don't hear it enough that if you're listening to this or if you're here and you're having an issue with it and you're sober today, man, congratulations. It's a very hard thing to do, and I don't think people that are fighting it get enough credit, or they don't hear it enough that, hey, man, you know what, somebody's proud of you, that you're still fighting today. I honestly feel like he kind of snatched me up in a sense and said, all right, I've got something different for you if you want it. You've got to be a willing participant, but if you want it, here's what we can do. I'm going to lead, you're going to follow. And that's just going to be the way it is. But if you're willing to follow, I'll make your life more beautiful than anything you could have ever imagined.